Welcome, brave souls. Today we embark on a journey into the mysterious world of revenant ghosts, those restless spirits who, in their lives, were met with violence and tragedy. Prepare yourselves to uncover the chilling legends, the spine-tingling encounters, and the age-old beliefs that have woven the tapestry of revenant ghost stories. The Draugr. An undead man? A ghost? A revenant? The lore says it is all of that, rising from their graves to terrorize the living and threaten the sanity of people from the northern part of Europe. The legend of Draugr dates back to ancient Norse mythology. These creatures are believed to be the undead spirits of warriors who were buried with their treasures, only to rise again as fiercely territorial guardians. They haunt cemeteries, graves, and burial mounds, seeking revenge on anyone who disturbs their resting place. Draugr are often depicted as terrifying and dangerous creatures, with superhuman strength and an insatiable hunger for human flesh. They can also shapeshift into various forms, from animals to even objects such as ships or stones. Some legends say that they have the power to control weather patterns and cause storms. According to Norse myth, Draugrs are believed to be the spirits of deceased Vikings who have not found peace in the afterlife. These creatures guard treasure and haunt graves, attacking anyone who disturbs their resting place. They are often depicted as being larger than humans, with superhuman strength and a foul stench emanating from their decaying bodies. In Norse mythology, it is said that when someone dies, they are not immediately taken to the afterlife. Instead, their spirit remains in their body for 3 days while it decides whether to move on or remain on Earth. If the spirit decides to remain on Earth, it becomes a Draugr. Draugrs are described as being extremely ugly, with a pale complexion and glowing eyes. They wear rotting clothing which hangs off them in rags, revealing decaying flesh beneath. The scent of death surrounds them, making it impossible for anyone to ignore the presence of these undead beings. Draugrs possess many supernatural abilities that make them formidable opponents. They have superhuman strength and speed, making it incredibly difficult for anyone to escape from them once they have been spotted. Additionally, Draugrs can shapeshift into various animals including wolves or serpents, making them even more challenging opponents. Furthermore, Draugrs also possess magical powers that allow them to control minds or create illusions which confuse their prey. Several stories have even compared Draugr with living wizards and witches due to their numerous other powers, including bringing disease upon villages, controlling the weather, creating temporary darkness during the day, entering the dreams of the living, seeing into the future, driving people insane, and escaping from their graves as a wisp of smoke. All of this makes the roaming undead all the more terrifying, with the worst part being Draugr rarely kill their victims right away. These reanimated corpses find delight in suffering. To them, the more trauma and pain, the better. Unfortunately, humans aren't the only ones at risk of the murderous ways of the Draugr. These Norse monsters are also known for devastating livestock and other animals by chasing them to death or sitting on top of them just until they are at the brink of suffocation, only to do it again and again. These illusions can be so convincing that they can fool even experienced treasure hunters into believing they are safe, when really they are in grave danger. Overall, legends about Draugr date back centuries, combining elements from both pagan beliefs and Christian traditions, which have merged to create one of the most terrifying and mysterious undead creatures in Norse mythology. How a Draugr is created. Author Ármann Jakobsson says that most medieval Icelandic ghosts are evil or marginal people. This adds an important layer into the lore of the Draugr, implying that while some are cursed to become an undead, in a lot of cases, Draugr are walking remnants of people who died after a life full of greed or spitefulness. If viewed in this light, they may be quite similar to Oni of Japanese lore. Yet, Oni are typically depicted as bright-colored demons, while Draugr are mostly pitch black, pale white, or death blue. It is said that a key sign that a deceased person will turn into a Draugr is when their corpse is suddenly found standing upright or in a sitting position. In order to prevent that, Jakobsson notes that someone has to break the corpse's posture. Just be careful though, those who would try to do that can unknowingly be doomed by the Draugr's evil eye. Connection to vampires. Draugr and vampires have long been thought to be similar in more than a few ways, one of which is their nocturnal nature. Like vampires, Draugr are night hunters, though there is no known text saying that they are vulnerable to sunlight. Both of these revenant monsters are also believed to pay visits in order to put an end to an unfinished business, making them quite interesting subjects for people whose views differ on whether supernatural reanimation retains the personality and memories of the being in question. However, out of all of their similarities, it is perhaps the shared transmissibility, which is the hallmark of vampirism, that makes the most sense for a lot of scholars, like literary anthologist Andrew Lang. Just like the victims of the famous bloodsuckers, victims of Draugr are believed to turn into Draugr themselves, which in some stories results in a long chain of contagion among people. In spite of that, others still reject the parallelism attributed to Draugr and vampires, even saying that it is unnecessary since the modern zombie actually bears more resemblance to the Nordic monster. Coping with the fear of the Draugr. Similar to countless other ancient civilizations, the Norse also valued the concept of life after death. That played a significant part in their custom and belief, even stretching to their folktales and oral tradition, and in some ways the lore of the Draugr was a fruit of that. Medieval-era Scandinavians believed that even after the passing of an individual, their body could still move, more so harm, other people. That is likely the reason why there is archaeological evidence of damaged weapons buried along with human remains. Other believers of the lore also placed large boulders above graves, at times even directly atop the corpses to immobilize them. Of course, these only account for 2 of the ways people could prevent a Draugr from attacking. There are still several allegedly effective practices, such as making use of iron weapons, putting heaps of straws or twigs inside a dead person's clothes, tying the big toes together, and skewering the soles with needles to keep the deceased from getting up, lifting and lowering the coffin in different directions to confuse a potential Draugr, properly bricking up tombs, and making special holes in walls to carry the corpse through, feet first, in an attempt to avert a return. Though it is said that the best way to completely finish off a Draugr is to cut off the head, burn the body, and dump the remaining ashes in the middle of the sea. But since Draugr are generally considered to only be byproducts of the past Nordic culture, when all is said and done, it was, perhaps, not really the monster that ancient people were trying to get rid of. From ancient legends to modern tales, these vengeful spirits remind us of the fragility of life, the weight of unresolved emotions. Though science may not offer definitive proof of their existence, revenant Draugr persist as symbols of our deepest fears and the unknown. We hope this exploration has intrigued and chilled you, reminding you that even in our technologically advanced world, the mysteries of the supernatural still beckon from the shadows.